everyone, welcome back to another 1v1 battle here. This is going to be me playing as the vampire counts versus the greenskins. My army is 3 zombies, 2 skeletal warriors, the warrior of renown, or the skeletal warrior of renown, the Kaldingstein stalkers, which are the poison attack, higher armor skeletal warriors. We have a mortis engine, an unholy lodestone corpse cart, necromancer Vlad von Karstein, the stearnsmen, because they're just so good. We also have a Karen wraith and 2 hex wraiths vanguard deployed in the forest here, so the enemy cannot see them. A white king, fell bat, and I believe that is it. So I bring the fell bat against the greenskins because I have seen them bring orc arrow boys here and there and night goblin archers, so these are there to try and shut them down. And even if they don't bring archers, you can still use them to disrupt enemy cav charges or really a whole lot of things. For my enemy here, we have an orc boar boy biggin. We have 3 forest goblin spider riders, 1 over here, 2 over here in the vanguard deployment. We have 4 orc biggins spread across this line, 3 goblins, a goblin big boss, Grimgore Ironhide, and an orc shaman buried here with the black orcs, night goblins, and then a orc boar chariot. So my army design here is for the skeletal warriors, the one of renown, and the zombies to kind of hold the line with the stearnsmen being plugged in wherever they need to. And what's going to help them do that is the mortis engine is going to have the AoE damaging ability that it has, but it also has the AoE regeneration. The necromancers, of course, have the master of the dead. He's back here, but he'll be moved up soon. And then the unholy lodestone corpse card also has another regeneration on top of +8 to melee attack and defense. So there will be 3 different auras applied to our front line of warriors here to try and keep them in the fight longer. Besides that, that's like all I could do with these skeletal warriors, is just support them with some regeneration and buffs to try to keep them to hold the line as long as possible. The killing power in this is going to be in the hex wraiths, the Karen wraiths, and that is basically, well, Vlad von Karstein. He's actually a very super melee combatant, and as long as we can keep the mortis engine alive, applying its AoE damage over time, it's going to really stack up and be a killer. So you just got to make sure that that thing lives. Over here you can see the forest goblin spider rider is getting close. Now, something else that I do have before we get started here is the necromancer, and I believe I also have Vlad with this. They both have Van Heel's Dance Macabre, which is going to be increasing a unit's melee attack by 34 and its speed by 24%. And I made sure to bring 2 of these since we have so many wraiths, because the weakest part of the wraiths, well, one of the weakest part of the wraiths, if I can bring up their stats here, is going to be their melee attack. The hex wraiths have a 20 base with only a 20 charge bonus, so even when they charge, it's not that high. And then the Karen wraiths only have an 18 with a 16 charge bonus. So their lowest thing is going to be their melee attack. You can see their damage is already pretty good. Like, their damage stats are great, they just need to hit more. So Van Heel's Dance Macabre from the necromancers are going to assist in that regard, which is why I made sure to bring the spell this time. So over here, I want to get these forest goblin spider riders closer to our hex wraiths. They haven't been seen yet. And I want to try and wipe them off of the field as soon as possible, because with our hex wraiths, they are unchallenged by any type of cav. Even though weak cav like this can hold them in position to allow orc infantry to get closer, then that's going to be all the better for me. So I want to make sure we can try and kill these guys. So I'm going to try and pin them down with our fell bats, because they are pretty quick. And then we're going to charge out our hex wraiths to get in here, casting Van Heel's Dance Macabre so we can quickly wipe them out with their higher melee attack. So you can see that's been applied right there, and they're going to start dropping pretty quickly. Even though hex wraiths are mainly like an anti-armor unit, they can still murder forest goblin spider riders if they can hit. That's the big thing. Meanwhile, the main orc line is getting pretty close to our zombies. We've already have an engagement over here with some goblins. We have some biggins behind them. More biggins coming in here. And again, the zombies are designed to just take the hit, while my skeletal warriors will come in behind, and then my stearnsmen behind them. While they're holding off, the mortis engine will be going up and down the battle line to try and apply the AoE damage, which, there you go. You can see it's starting to work on these guys. And so over time, they're just going to be draining hit points very slowly, but it does stack up. We're now chasing this forest goblin spider rider off the field. That's what these fellbats are going to be doing. We're also murdering these ones and running them, but I think they do come back. Here comes some more forest goblin spider riders. The main line has now been engaged. Grimgore is getting in here into our Kaldingstein stalkers, which again, they apply poison attack, which is pretty good. We have our zombies and skeletal warriors over here. The orc boar chariot is just going right through our zombies, which is no surprise. And it looks like the orc boys are going to try and stop my hex wraiths over here. Orc boys are going to be pretty good at doing that. Even through the 80% resistance that these hex wraiths have, the thing is, orc boys also have a damage bonus versus large, and there's just a lot of units here, so the hex wraiths are going to start just taking a lot of damage. Over here, these hex wraiths are getting onto the orc boar chariots, because I do not want them just destroying my entire melee line, and they're going to be really good at bringing down the orc boar chariot. As you can see here, they just totally murder them. They keep them stationary in place and then just hit them with their scythes. Orc boys coming in, piling over here, overwhelming our skeletal warriors and zombies on this flank. So I'm going to be sending in the Sternsmen over here on this side. The Mortis Engine is also going to be going over. The Unholy Lodestone is keeping this area buffed as much as possible. I'm holding our Can Race back for now to try and get them into the Black Orcs, I believe, who are also being held in reserve back here with the Orc Shaman. So here goes my Sternsmen, although they get caught by a Goblin Big Boss, which is not great, but it's okay. The Hex Race over here, I sent in more support. Yeah, we sent in more support, so that is going to overwhelm the Orc Boar Boy Biggins, along with their Forest Goblin Spider Rider allies, and the little goblins here that do not have a bonus versus large, but they are thrown in there just as bodies and to try and overwhelm our Hex Race. I also sent Vlad over there to try and help deal with them, and now he's going to come back into the main fight, which is not looking too bad. Not looking too great either. Charging in my White King, I buffed him up with all of his anti-hero buffs to try and murder this Goblin Big Boss who's now being held down by the zombies. I'm sorry, by the Skeletal Warriors. The Sternsman back here. Can Ray still being held in reserve. Here comes Grimgor up the middle trying to get to our Corpse Cart, which we do not want him destroying our Corpse Cart. We want this thing alive as long as possible, so I send somebody. Oh, nice spell from the Shaman there. Although it doesn't do much damage, but it does look impressive. So we try to pull out our Unholy Lodestone Corpse Cart. The Orc Boar Chariots are coming back to try and get finished because they're orcs and they want to keep fighting. You see my other Hex Race back here, they were being chased off by the Orc Biggins. The Orc Biggins have the bonus versus large, so they're not my ideal target. The Black Orcs kind of are. I want to weaken them with our anti-armor Hex Race more than the Biggins. Can Race just came up here to buff up the middle of our infantry line here, going against these Orc Biggins. Another explosion, the big headbutt spell, I think it's called, going over here. Again, not doing too much damage. We finally get our Hex Race around the Biggins into the Black Orcs. I want to say I cast the Van Heel's Dance Macabre, but maybe not. But again, my Mortis Engine is just going up and down the battle line, just trying to support. Necromancer trying to stay close as possible with the Master of the Dead trait to keep them regenerating for as long as possible. Same thing with the Corpse Card, just trying to support our infantry line. Vlad is over here just dealing with some Orc Biggins along with the White King. Over here, the Hex Race are still dealing with the Orc Boar Boy Biggins who came back from routing and these two Forest Goblin Spider Riders, and they are starting to lose that battle. These Hex Race, I moved them deeper into the enemy line to try and chase these Black Orcs, but I don't want to get caught in here and surrounded by the Biggins, so I'm going to try and pull them out as well. Meanwhile, Vlad is still here. My Felbass just came back from chasing off the third Forest Goblin Spider Rider army from the field. I just did not want them coming back. Can Ray's doing pretty good against the Orc Biggins, which is not too surprising, I guess. And you see my focus over here is going to be against Grimgor and these Black Orcs. That's why I have all of my supporting units, the Necromancer, Corpse Cart, and Mortis Engine over here to support my Vlad von Karstein. That is a very impressive spell, the Foot of Gork. The problem is, well, not even a problem, but really quick, let me just slow it here. If you're going to cast the Foot of Gork in this particular battle, I think I would have chosen to cast it on the Hex Wraiths more. Well, do the Hex Wraiths have more mass than Karen Wraiths? Do the Wraiths just have the same amount of mass, even though they look like they would have more? I don't know. I have no idea. But typically, the Foot of Gork and spells like that, the explosion spells, do a lot of damage, or massive damage, actually, to heavily massed units like Cav. So against the infantry forces over here, it's not as impressive. It looks impressive. It does disrupt and knock a lot of bodies down. But if you actually want to do damage with it, especially in this matchup, I think I would have at least chosen the Karen race because they have no magical resistance. So that would really, in theory, do a lot of damage to a very low hit point Wraith unit. I honestly don't know offhand. I'm assuming it still would because they're not resistant to magic. But even more than that, you want to try and go against the Hex race, which I'm assuming have a higher mass than the Karen race. Or maybe they don't. I really don't know how their mass is applied in this game because they're wraiths. They're ethereal. I have no idea. But in theory, I think it should work more against the Hex race. You can see the Goblin Big Boss getting on our Unholy Lodestone Corpse Cart, which has no way of defending itself against such a foe. Then they switch over to our Necromancer, who's going to be casting, I believe, Invocation of the Heck on our Hex Wraiths? I'm not sure. I think he did, because I remember doing that in this battle. Anyway, Vlad von Karstein is going to be fighting against Grimgor Ironhide. Vlad has a lot of regeneration, so he can actually take a hit and regenerate through it, although right now Grimgor is more focused on the Sternsmen, which is just as fine for me. White King is also still in here trying to kill the Orc Shaman. Doing a, I did a couple charges with the mortis engine to just try and break the orc line. And miraculously, I've been able to keep one of my Hex Wraiths alive. They were very close to death once or twice, but I would cast a couple invocations of the Hex on them. But my other Hex Wraith, I believe, did fall apart over here to the massive amount of Orc Cav and 4 Goblin Spider Riders. So right now, they're just going to be chasing and trying to re-break these units that are coming back from routing, while Vlad, the Mortis Engine, and the White King are just dealing with the Orc Heroes. They're not doing a bad job. Because again, like, Vlad has his own regeneration. It's supported by the other 3 regenerations around him. So he technically has 4. And you can get items on him that will give him a 5th and a 6th way, I believe, of regenerating. His regeneration capabilities are just insane. They are just insane. He is a very strong vampire lord. It's no joke. Also, through that battle, I cast Master of Beguilement on Grimgor. I know they're at the end. I cast it on him, which Master of Beguilement lowers their melee attack by 46, I think it is the number. Really high. And a unit like Grimgor, he has a high melee attack, and he can kind of counter that with the wall if he has it up. But still, it's not a bad unit to target with Master of Beguilement, especially for fighting him one-on-one. Any kind of negative buffs you can apply to Grimgor in a one-on-one fight is going to be a positive to you. So yeah, we just kind of managed to overwhelm Grimgor there at the end. But good game to my opponents. That was a fun game. All the cav that my opponent brought, the 3 Force Goblin Spider Riders, I was really worried about, and they proved to be a big problem. The one that I was able to route off the field did take away my Fellbats for most of the battle there, but the other 2 that remained on the field were constantly harassing my Hex Wraiths, I think, for the most part, and then eventually did drop them, they are super expensive unit. They're like 1,500, I think, the Hex Wraiths are. Almost wrote down my other second Hex Wraith. If I didn't cast those invocations on the Hex and try to get them out of the fights, they would have dropped as well. So again, another close game here and a good game to my opponent. Let's check out the ending stats. Vlad von Karstein, 36. White King got 26. They were mostly fighting with each other at the end there, so they were buffing each... Well, not buffing each other up, but they were fighting side by side. Zombies did okay against the Goblins, not as much against the Biggins. The Skeletal Warriors, again, killed a lot of Goblins, but they eventually got crushed. The Kognigstein Stalkers, I was expecting more, but Grimgor got into their numbers, and then I think the Black Orcs got into the Stalkers. And so in that matchup, even with the poison, they don't really have much of a chance in that fight. Cannon Race, 68 kills, a lot of those against Biggins and then Black Orcs, so they did really well. I cast Van Heel's Dance Macabre on them once, and then I think the Hex Race got it twice, and then 2 Invocation of the Hex in that battle is what I think all my magic was. The Sternsmen, just one of the best units of renown in the game. They are just so good. 63 kills, so good. It's definitely worth 1,000 in price. Hex Race did really well, 80 kills before this one, finally dropped 85 in this one. 15 kills in the Fellbats. That's mostly from the retreating Forest Goblin and Spider Riders, which is totally fine. They are there as just a disruptive unit. And then the Mortis Engine even netted 10 kills with its AoE. I did charge it in here once or twice, but that damage over time, it's very small. But if that Mortis Engine is alive throughout the entire fight and applying that small damage to your army, that thing stacks up. In 8 minutes, however long that battle was, that is a lot of... I don't know how much exactly because we don't get those stat breaks down, but breakdown, but still, it's a lot. And for my enemy, the Illuminati Draco Swarm, 51 kills on Grimgor Ironhide is pretty good. The Goblin Big Boss, 12 kills. I think he was mostly hounding my supporting units, but luckily for me, wasn't able to actually bring any of them down just because of all of the overlapping AoE regeneration that they were all applying to each other. Goblins did really well. Night Goblins did pretty good for Night Goblins. Speaking of, the DLC coming out, I think next week, maybe a week after that or something. A lot of Night Goblin love is coming in the next DLC. You should check it out on Steam. I'm pretty excited. There's going to be squigs. Anyway, Orc Biggins, one of the best infantry units in the game. They do really well in almost any situation, and they did the same here. They did supremely well. They got so many kills. The Black Orcs, lucky enough for me, I was able to charge them a couple times with their Hex Race, which have that massive armor-piercing damage, so that helped shut them down. I then threw in our Cairn Race, which again are anti-armor damage-dealing units, and they didn't help the Black Orcs out at all, so I was able to apply the right units to the right situation, and we shut down the Black Orcs before they could go on a rampage and destroy all my infantry that was remaining, including my poor Stearnsman. The Forest Common Spider Riders, I think they did still pretty okay. Like, they got a low kill count here, but the thing is they were fighting against Hex Wraiths through a lot of that, and they managed to bring down a Hex Wraith, which is favorable for them because the Hex Wraiths are so expensive, like 1,500. So really good on the Forest Common Spider Riders. But again, good game to Illuminati. I hope you enjoyed that. Now let's watch a cinematic view of the battle. Was that Wraith bleeding? Excuse me? Oh, I even threw my Viking after them too. I don't remember that. There's the other Dance Macabre. So many spell effects. Man, that orc shaman is big. Almost the same height as my Viking mountain.
So much death.
That's gonna be it. Take care, everybody.